Hi, my name's Lee Donahauer, and I edit images using various software programs like Photoshop or Topaz Studios and Luminar AI and others, depending on the need to fix the image. Recently, a friend of mine sent me two photographs. She took them around her house, backyard, and so forth. And asked if I could fix them. I looked at the first one, and she had shot it through a window, and it contained a reflection, and the subject matter was directly behind the reflection, and I had to tell her, no, I'm sorry, I can't remove the reflection without also affecting the subject matter that's behind it. But the other photos she sent me, I took one look at that and I said, we can do something with this one. So we're going to work on that today, and we're going to be using Photoshop 2021 as well as Luminar AI. So let's take a look at what we've got here, and I'll just bring up this. Now, this is the original image that she sent me. And this right here is what we ended up with when we got done working on it. So that's going to be our goal today. So let's see what we can learn, shall we? All right, so let's open up this one right here in Photoshop. And I think we've got a clean start. And come on, photo. There we go. All right. And there we go. There it is. All right, so here's the image. And the first thing that we're going to do in Photoshop is we're going to duplicate the layer so that we always have something that we can go back to. So let me just hit Command J. There we go. And now we have a duplicate layer, as you can see here. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to rename that. I'm going to call it Luminar AI because that's where we're going to go from here. And just hit enter. Okay, so what do we want to do with this? First thing we want to do is we want to go up here, and we're going to go under filter, and we're going to choose Skylum Luminar AI, and we'll launch that. And it gives it a few seconds, and eventually it'll get there and gives me a chance for a sip of coffee. Okay, so here we are. And I'm going to enlarge this window by clicking on the green button there, so we just have Luminar, and you can see that up here in the front. All right, so let's take a look at the image, and what do we see? The first thing that jumps out at me is all this blinding light coming through from the rising sun in her backyard. And to me, that makes this the perfect candidate to replace the sky. So we're going to skip templates, and we're just going to go straight over to edit, and I'll click that there. And we're going to go over here into the tools, the essentials, come on down, and here we go. We're going to go to the creative section and click on sky. And at this point, it says pick a sky selection. Now, I want to stop and tell you something here. When sky replacement first came out in various software programs, there was a lot of controversy about it. A lot of photographers didn't like it because there was a limited number of skies available, and they said, well, everybody's going to end up using the same sky, and you'll see the same sky over and over and over again, or, you know, one of the only 5 skies that a program may have at the time. But then other photographers realized, you know, there may be only 5 skies, but if I start taking pictures of skies, I can sell them as packages that people can purchase my packages and have alternative skies. And I have purchased many of those packages, and so I've got a larger sky collection than what normally comes with the software. So let's click on sky selection here. And the one, let me check my notes here. Blue one, okay. I'm looking for matte blue one. Yeah, it's this one right here is the one I chose. And this is another collection that I bought from a fellow by the name of Matt Kluskowski. So we'll click on that. And there we go. We got the sky popped in. So the thing is, you can rearrange the blending, and you notice it takes a lot of shininess out. You still see the shininess of the morning light, but at least it fills this in. All right. Now the thing you want to look at right in here, you see between the finer branches, it looks like it's a little gray in there, and it's not exactly as natural as, let's say, over in this particular area here. So we're looking at this area here, and I'm not particularly happy with it. So let's just try a little playing around with these things. Horizontal blending. We'll just move that over, wait for it to recalculate. That didn't seem to do much. There, I'm going to take that off there. Yeah, because it gives a little more orange over in here, you'll notice. And let's take a look at this horizontal position. See, and we can just move the sky up and down like that. And I kind of like it right about there. Relighting the scene, we can do that. And notice it affects the scene, but not the sky. But I don't see any advantages there to relighting it, just as making it darker. So let's take a look at Sky Global and see what that does. Aha! And notice that those gray areas near the finer branches goes away when we adjust the Sky Global. All right, so I think we're done with our sky. I'm kind of satisfied with that. Now we're going to go over here to Enhance. And let's just add a little accent and see what happens. And notice already it is starting to make this picture pop. See that? I really like that. And it's making the sky pop as well. So the Enhance is really adjusting both the foreground image and the replacement sky. Let's try Sky Enhancer, see if that gives us anything that we like. And it gives a little darker tone to it. I kind of like that too, because it brightens up this area. It's kind of nice. The thing you have to keep in mind is with these sliders in Luminar or whatever, you just do it to taste. What looks good to you? Okay? So now let me go down to the light section here in Essentials. And we can change the temperature, make it a little warmer. See, like that. Kind of like that a little bit. Or we can make it even cooler, which there, you can make it into a night scene if you want to. But yeah, clearly that's not what we want to do with this image. So I think we're just going to, let's see, there's where we started. That's 0. And I'm going to warm it up just a smidge. There we go. Now, one of my favorites in Luminar AI is the Foliage Enhancer, and that's down here in Landscape. So let me click, and we'll click on that, and it'll bring up the greens in the foliage. Watch this. See? Boom. Makes it pop. Okay? And so far, I'm liking what we've got here. So let me just close that box down. And the one area I don't like is here on the golf course because it's getting blown out, especially right in there. So how do I darken this without darkening other parts of the image? And the answer to that is we create a mask and we use dodge and burn. Burn is what we're going to be using right here. So that is, let's see if I can remember where that is. Structure, well, let's hold on. Let me try structure, see if that has any positive effect. Oh yeah, there you go. See, it's bringing out the shadows there. There we go. I kind of like that too. And let's boost it a little more. Yeah, we're getting some sharp contrast in here, so that's working very well. And we could also go into details. I'll get back to the other thing that we were going to do in a second here as far as darkening that green. Let's sharpen. Now keep an eye here on the bark on the trees as we do this and watch what happens. Let's bring up the large details just a smidge. There we go. Making those trees really, the bark on those trees stand out. And it's also getting the foliage down here on the ground, the pine needles and so forth and so on. That's large. Let's try medium detail, see if that does. And just don't want to overdo it. Let's bring up small details, just a smidge. And there, it's making the pine needles really pop at this point. You can see them down here, and you can see the... Now, that may be a little too much, and it's going to depend on what you like to do. So, you know, my choices aren't necessarily going to be your choices. I kind of like that, but I'm more annoyed by this blowout here on the golf course. So let's go back to, we're going to leave that as is. And I have to remember where on earth this is. Super contrast, color harmony, dodge. Oh, here it is, dodge and burn. So we're going to bring up dodge and burn, and we're going to choose darken, because that's what we want to do. And brush size, let's bring that down to about a 50. 45, that'll work. Now strength, I'm going to dial that down a whole lot. I'm going to take that down to about a 10. And the reason is I just want to gently brush in there. So there we go. We got it at 10. So now let's go in here and let's just start painting in this area. There we go. A little bit in there maybe. And then we'll just release and try some more. Darken it some more like that. There we go. And we can do some over here too. And we're just bring it in here in these kind of blown out areas and see if we can give it a little more detail. There we go. There we go. And if you want to get it a little bit more, we can give it a more strength. Let's double this up to 20 and see if we can paint some more on it. It's accumulative, so the more we brush, it just keeps piling it on. So let's go into here. We're getting a little more yellow, a little less bright. There we go. And we'll paint over here. There we go. Paint over in here a little bit. Maybe a little bit in the trees here. There we go. And how about a little bit right there? There we go. I don't know whether you can see the changes there. Now let's switch over to lighten. Let's bring this house out a little bit. And we'll choose lighten. And oh, by the way, if you want to see what we've done so far, this is before. And this is after. Before. After. Before. Whoops, there's before. And there's... having a hard time with that button because I'm looking at the screen and trying to click the button. There we go. There. Okay, so now we're going to go to lighten and we're going to make a smaller brush, which doesn't want to seem to work right now, so we'll just use our left bracket key. And let's see if we can lighten this up. Trying to bring the house out of the shadow there. And just paint in here just ever so gently. And let's see if we've made any difference. That's the before. And that's the after. Oh, there's the after. Okay, that was like way too much. So we'll just click on the erase. And we'll just paint that out of there. There we go. So we'll just leave that as it is. All right, so where are we at? Actually, I think we're doing pretty good. So let's go up here and we'll go back to our original image, which was this. Ah, there we go. It's taking a while there. Click, hold, that was our original image. And there we go with the finished one. Okay. Now, there's one more thing I want to do with this image, and that is I don't like the square effect, and I don't like the light just being all over the place. So what I want to do is I want to crop it, and I want to add a vignette. However, one of the problems that we have when you're using Luminar AI as a plug-in to Photoshop, there are some things it leaves out, and one of them is right here, and it'll normally be at the top of of the box, and it's just not there, and I'll show you that in a second. So we're just going to apply this to Photoshop, and we wait for that to render it. There we go. And boom, it sends us right back to Photoshop, and there's our image. All right, so I'm going to hit Command S for save. There we go. And now I'm going to quit Photoshop. All right, so here's our new file with our corrections in it. All right, and this time we're going to open it directly in Luminar AI rather than via Photoshop. So we'll go down here, and let's see, where's Luminar? There it is, Luminar AI. Boom. And wait for it, and it's opening up. And we'll go full screen, and we'll go to Edit. And there it is, Composition. Composition tool is not available as a plugin in Photoshop, oddly enough. But it is if you go directly to Luminar AI. The bottom line here is you're free to edit your photos directly in Luminar, or you can use them as plugins to Photoshop itself. So let's click on Composition, and the first thing I want to do is I want to change the ratio, and I'm going to change it to 16:9, which is your standard screen. There we go. All right, there it is. And I like this better already, okay? And the thing is, at this point, we can move the image up and down, like so, to there, if we think that's a nice balanced picture. And if you look at the rule of thirds, you know, the sky is in the top third, the trees in the background are there, and this is the foreground. That's probably a good place to stop. And we can just click on this to, oh, I think I just hit the enter key is what we have to do. Let's see. There it is. Okay, fine. And the last thing I want to do is I want to add a vignette. So I'm going to click here. Now the vignette we could add as a plug-in to Photoshop, but so I'm just going to take them out and drag that down, and watch on the corners of the image as I drag that down, and there you go. And that, I think, my friends, is our final image, because I like that. It kind of darkens it up. It pulls your attention to more of the center of the screen, and we are done. So at this point, we'll say Export, Save to Disk. Let's see, Shift. Pardon me, and we will call that LAI. How's that? Luminar AI Direct. All right, so we'll click Save, and it's exporting the image. And now we can quit Luminar AI. And here we go. So, first of all, let's open up the Photoshop file. And we're going to go back to turn off that Luminar layer to see the original. Wait for Photoshop to catch up here. There we go. And we'll just turn that off. And that's where we started, kind of a bland image. We got that out of it. And now we'll say open this image here, which on the desktop is, here it is, LAI, boom, open that. And there we go. So this is after we cropped it in Luminar. This is before the crop. Well, let's just go in order. All right, there's the original image. We worked on Luminar via the filters of Photoshop, and then we went back into Luminar directly, where we had access to our composition tool. We cropped the image and added a vignette, and that's our final image. So there you have it. Hope you liked this video. If you did, please hit subscribe down below so that you'll see the ones that we do in the future, or I do in the future rather. And I definitely would appreciate it if you hit the like button. So that's it for today. We'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.